Welcome to week 6 of the Down East Sports College Football Show. Pre-recording on Wednesday this week due to scheduling conflicts, but still coming to you live on Thursday. I'm Jacob Miller. He's Paul Phillips. Like I said, it's week 6. If you're on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Share with a friend. Twitter, give us a follow. Obviously, since we can't do live comments this week, put your comments underneath the tweet, and we will get to them when we can.
Yeah. Hopefully, while the
show is airing live. But outside of that, let's get right into it now that we've handled that business. Start off like we do every week. ECU recap, little week 5 recap, heading into real or fake, highlight the week 6 slate, our pick sixes, and then a little UNC Charlotte little brother preview, and little uni matchup at the end. We'll jump right into the UTSA game. I didn't know we were allowed to score points in the second half.
No, but we somehow, by the grace of God, figured out a way how.
Yeah, sloppy game, slow game. That's kind of been the story of ECU this year.
We play fast, but the game progresses slowly.
Yes.
Is how it feels.
Yeah, turnovers still seem to be a problem.
Yeah, it didn't feel like as much of a problem. Maybe that's due to the opponent that we were playing compared to the last weeks before. But still, definitely, like you said, still an issue.
Yeah. We had a turnover late. Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah.
We had a pick late. It seemed like we just couldn't close, which has been a problem with ECU all year, is just closing things out. We definitely let them walk back in a little bit from what I can remember. I don't know why I'm drawing such a blank on this game all of a sudden.
Let's see. It's late on a Wednesday.
It is late on a Wednesday. Shout out to Brock and Trivia at Bill the Green Wednesday night. Still free ad. If you guys want to pay us for that ad, feel free.
Yeah, it was with about 10 and a half minutes to go in it was the first play of the drive. It was big.
That was right around time for me. We'll get into that game.
That was right after UTSA scored a touchdown. Yeah. We had the instant kickoff and then immediately threw a pick. Yeah. And so that
I want to say Rajah put the ball on the ground too. Maybe. A lot of interceptions.
There were a couple of interceptions. I
don't think he did.
He did. But 2 second half interceptions, which isn't a recipe for success.
No.
Unless you're playing a watered down UTSA.
Well, I think Cliff was the one that actually tweeted. Funny, it might not have been him, but somebody tweeted in games that we throw 3 interceptions and more.
We're undefeated.
Yeah. So maybe that is the recipe.
Honestly, maybe turnovers aren't an issue.
Yeah. Maybe we need to turn the ball over more, actually. Run game's pretty strong. Defense still looks pretty good.
Secondary's worrisome, obviously. Not super worrisome, but just more so than we were expected. Because of Siobhan's absence. But even still, I mean, I think they held their own pretty well. UTSA is nothing really to write home about this year in the American.
But it was a team that was picked with Tulane and Memphis to be fighting for a conference championship. That obviously doesn't seem to be the case as we get into the season.
I think that was more recency bias.
Definitely does not look like a solid team. They kind of did what we said they were. They were very even on both fronts when it comes to throwing and running.
Pull up a little team stats, actually. Let's see. Passing, they were just under 50% passing the ball for 286 with 172 rushing yards.
Yeah.
So we only had 47 rushing yards with 294 passing.
Yeah, we did not.
We were
commit to the run the way I thought we would.
Yeah, I think we seemed like far and away the more efficient team, at least with him when it came to scoring. So that was nice. But we had 47 rushing yards. Rajah had 60.
Yeah.
But you factor in sacks and just negative carries, then it drops off a little bit. But It was a fairly even game. I mean, they outgained us pretty well. I mean, we had it for us, it was 341 rushing or 341 total yards, so they're 458. So they outgained by over 100 yards, but we turned the ball over less somehow, and it had 17 to 18 on the first downs. So
Yeah.
Outside of total yards, I mean, it was a fairly even game. We just they outgained us, we outscored them.
Yeah. Honestly, it's kind of the first four-quarter game we've put together all year.
Yeah, and honestly, this was the first time that we really, at least to my recollection, maybe I'm tripping, but the first time we kind of started a little slower,
a little slower,
but we grew into the game.
Yeah.
That it was
good second quarter.
It was a mature performance, I think. That was this could be potentially a turning point for us.
Hope so.
We grew into the game and just went with the progression, and we just
the schedule does get a touch easier after this. I know we got a tough game after the bye week.
Yeah, we're already through our toughest part of the schedule, and it only included one conference game.
Yeah, so great to start, as the title says this week. Great to start 1-0 in conference.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to catch either of us pretending that we're a conference contender by any stretch of the imagination.
I mean, I think we're definitely. Honestly, I think we're probably the fourth best team in this conference.
Yeah, I think that's safe to say.
I think we're right there with. I got to see a little more from North Texas, but like if we just run through the standings real quick, let me see.
I mean, we're better than Temple. We're better than Tulsa. We're better than FAU.
Yeah.
Army might be right there with us.
Hell, we beat FAU last year.
Yeah. Obviously,
Army and Navy are obviously so far the class of the conference.
Yeah. Outside of Memphis and Tulane, who are probably in a league of their own.
They're
right
the two.
now.
Memphis and Tulane are the two best teams in the conference. I think Army and Navy. I mean,
Army, Navy, us.
Just with the way that they play the game of football, we're probably just going to need to see more for them to kind of solidify their place. But I mean, they're rolling right now. Both of those teams are, and then I mean, like we said, Tulane, Memphis. And then there where you are right there with North Texas kind of in the top of things. We're sitting technically in fourth right now in the conference, but hell, Charlotte's 1-0 in conferse. So who knows what that means.
Yeah, you get lucky and play Rice and only beat them by 1 point.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, hey, it's nice to come on here and talk about a win.
Exactly.
After two just back-breaking losses in games. I mean, we said it last week that this is where we expected to be heading into week 5 was 2-2, but this team could very well be 5-0 right now.
Yeah.
Instead of 3-2, and
this team should be 5-0.
This
could be.
It should be. Yeah.
If we knew how to put
a complete game,
a complete half together, then we probably squeak out both of those wins against App and Liberty. So. Again, not disappointed at all. Obviously, it's disappointing the way we lost those games and the way we got to 2-2, but we kind of did what we were supposed to do, took care of business against the UTSA team. That's definitely not bad. They're just not. They're kind of a shadow or a shell of what they used to be.
Yes.
But even still, it like you said, it is very nice to come into the week off a win.
Yeah, at least one of my teams won this week. With that being said. As good of a segue as I'm capable of doing, we'll hop into the slate, even though we're not talking about that game right away. We'll jump in with the Big 12 matchup, Oklahoma State at Kansas State. Both those teams suck. They're just not good. We said it last week. Bowen for Oklahoma State is just a god-awful quarterback.
Yeah. I will say for Kansas State, I think they might have figured out some stuff.
Definitely in the second half, Avery Johnson had a pretty big game. I think he threw for about 259. I know he had an interception there in the first half that was just egregious.
Yeah. Once he sort of grew into the game, though, he played like people were expecting Avery Johnson to play this season.
Kansas State got rolling in the second half there and just kind of more or less beat the brakes off of them in the second half. Oklahoma State, at least defensively, I thought was going to be a much stronger team, and that is
they're just
the two things I was confident about with Oklahoma State this year have been kind of not, I won't say weaknesses, but have not been a bright spot for them in their defense and their running game. Two good tailbacks back there, and Ollie Gordon has not been the running back we thought he would be.
No, he's just lethargic out there.
Oh man, I can't think of the other tailback's name right now.
I can't. Respectfully, who
cares? But yeah, definitely out of the 4 games we highlighted last week, this actually the first 3 we're talking about were kind of all snooze. This was supposed to be a better week of college football. Week 6 doesn't look that great either. But outside of the second half of the last game we'll talk about, kind of a lackluster slate again.
Yeah.
I really don't have much more on this other than both these teams are kind of trash.
Kansas State is still going to end up being a contender in this conference. I mean, they're 1-1.
Yeah.
They're going to hang around. Obviously, that BYU loss hurts a lot, which
is Iowa State the second best team in that conference?
They might. Are they the best team in that conference?
They could be. I mean, Cam Rising being hurt kind of knocks Utah down a peg.
You tell me who the best team in the Big 12 is, and I'll tell you where Iowa State falls.
Yeah.
Between them, Utah, hell, BYU.
Yeah, BYU.
Hey,
which
got
that pick right.
Can I give another team in the Big 12 the flowers that I think that so far this season they've deserved?
Who you got?
Who do you think? It's a team that neither of us are big fans of.
Yeah.
The Colorado Buffaloes.
Yeah. I'm not feeling very good about that 5.5 anymore.
I'm not either. They
went into Tampa and just beat the brakes off of them.
They don't always play a pretty brand of football, but they play a fun as hell brand of football.
They're definitely,
they're
week out.
They're the most watchable team in college football.
No, without 100%.
And they've been winning. They beat the
brakes off of
UCF.
They beat the brakes off of them.
I mean, that was never a game. Really.
No, it was not. They got off to a hot start early, and I think we did injustice to Shadur Sanders last week when we were talking Heisman talk because he's got numbers. I mean, he's playing good.
There's no denying he's one of the best quarterbacks in the country. He's obviously a top quarterback draft prospect. He's starting to prove it a little bit.
I mean, has he, out of the draft eligible quarterbacks, and I know yours has been hurt, he might be the one that's looked the best so far.
He probably is. And it's weird to say, he's probably been the most consistent out of all of them too.
And you get it from him week in, week out.
Yeah. And obviously if Ewers has been healthy so far this season, we'd probably be saying it a little differently. Yeah. But he hasn't been. So
I wonder if he's back this week.
I don't know. I feel like that's
who do they have this week? I can look real quick.
I'll tell you who it's not. Mississippi State.
No, it's not Mississippi State. Who hung with them?
I was about to say, that was a game for a little bit. Props to Mississippi State. They covered that with ease. That game, for basically the whole first half, was a tight football game.
Yeah. They're on bye this week.
Okay. Because
Red River next week. Yep. Move us on to the next game. Ranked matchup between these two teams, but Louisville at Notre Dame. Louisville just looked to get killed by turnovers, in all honesty. They had their punter fumbled a snap, picks early, fumbles. I mean, the turnovers.
Yeah.
I mean, both sides of the ball. Louisville tried to make it a game late. The play that stuck out to me, and I made sure to write this down, with about 6:05 left in the second half, or in the second quarter, rather. I can't remember who. I want to say it was number 1 for Louisville. Runs a 10-yard in. Ball hits him in the hands, takes 2 steps, and just coughs it up. I mean, and it leads to a turnover.
Ja'Cory Brooks, who's one of, if not honestly, the best receiver in the ACC. Obviously,
who's 5 for them because he ended up the next drive.
Colin Lacey.
Yeah, Colin Lacey made a great catch in the third quarter.
Yeah.
Louisville's got another decent matchup this week. Can't remember who they're playing off the top of my head, but
yeah, I can't either. Let's see.
They have SMU.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll get to that.
We'll get to that game later, but Louisville definitely not a bad football team to an extent. I mean, putting 24 points up on Notre Dame's defense, which is pretty stout. I think if it wasn't for turnovers, they probably could have won that game. But
yeah, I'm looking right now. I think
Notre Dame just ran the ball down their throats, if I remember correctly. This was the game I didn't watch too tightly, but
I'm looking right now. If I'm not mistaken, every single true turnover, not like a turnover on downs, ended up in points.
Yeah, and that's what killed them. I mean,
exactly. Notre Dame won the turnover battle 2-3. But like you look at early in the game, Louisville fumbles on the first play of the drive. Notre Dame on the ensuing drive scores. Later in that first half, Notre Dame fumbles, Louisville goes down and scores a touchdown. Louisville throws a pick, Notre Dame goes down, hits a field goal. Those are all the non-turnovers on downs as far as turnovers are concerned. They all led to points, and that's basically what ended up costing Louisville that game. Yeah. That's a kind of game where basically exactly how it turned out, where the team that turns the ball over less
is going to win.
Exactly. They're just simply from a standpoint of giving yourself more opportunities just by holding onto the football. And Louisville just could not figure out how to do that.
No, they could not.
It started like right from the get-go, basically. It was their second drive.
We'll go from turnovers to missed field goals. Illinois at Penn State, 3 missed field goals in the game is wild.
Yeah.
2 of them being from Illinois. And at the end of the day, it really just looked like Penn State's rushing attack and their defense was too much for the Illini.
Yeah. We knew this game was coming for Illinois.
Yeah, it was a matter of time before they dropped a game. No, this was the game I was thinking of. Just the guy heaves it up at the end.
Yeah.
And looking for pass interference, and just I don't know what he's looking at there at the end. But I will say, to Illinois' credit, they held Penn State at bay. I mean, this was a slow-moving game on the same time as the Georgia-Alabama game, and you just had a tale of 2 different just football games right there.
It kind of started like it was going to be like there were going to be some points. Like both teams scored a touchdown on their opening possessions. Then for the rest of the first half, it was punt, 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 missed field goal, missed field goal.
Yep.
And that's just the most Big Ten football you'll ever see.
It was very much old-fashioned Big Ten run the rock. Not a lot of points, a lot of defense.
I mean, this game was 7-7 at halftime. Like Illinois had every opportunity to stay in this game. They did everything they could to lose.
Yeah, we'll hit a couple more points on this game in real or fake. I got a topic from this game, but
I'm intrigued.
Yeah, lead us into the game of the week. So far, game of the year.
Yeah.
First half didn't look that way, and it ended that way.
Oh my god! It was not the game of the year. It might so far probably. So. It was the fourth quarter of the century. That game was unreal.
Obviously, Georgia at Alabama. Another heartbreaking loss to Alabama for my Georgia Bulldogs.
Yeah.
Carson Beck just looked abysmal
in that first
the first half.
He could not figure it out.
Rewatching the tape, the interception. I don't remember. I think it was his second interception of the first half, if I'm remembering correctly. Carson Beck audibles to a screen pass, and Arian Smith just did not run the route.
Yeah.
Ends up leading to an interception, obviously leads to points because Alabama was and Milroe were unstoppable in the first half.
That first quarter from Jalen Milroe is one of the best quarter.
It's something we might be talking about come Heisman time.
I think you're right, because I've been kind of out on Jalen Milroe for a while now. I think I might be in on Milroe.
He was a dog in that game. Anyone that thought Alabama without Nick Saban would not be a force, look out. Because if that's that team's A game and they can hit that week in and week out, that is a scary football team to play against.
We knew Kalen DeBoer was one of the premier coaches in college football coming into this season, no matter what program he was coaching. I didn't expect that.
No. I mean, 41 points on a what still looks to be good Georgia defense.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll talk
100%.
about this game in real or fake too. But I mean, the story was just the second half of the third quarter and fourth quarter from Georgia. They figured it out. They figured out how to stop Jalen Milroe. They switched their defense up. They contained him for the most part, made them punt. I think they punted 4 out of 5 possessions in the second half, if I remember correctly, and it ended up, one play drive for the game-winning touchdown with the freshman who just had a game.
Yeah, Ryan Williams
is the real freaking deal, man. That kid's going to win a Heisman by the time he leaves Tuscaloosa.
He just might. If Devontae Smith could, then
he is so
Ryan
good.
Williams might be tried for it.
I'm sure Humphreys is kicking himself about that touchdown late in the game. But at the end of the day, as a Georgia fan, at the end of the first half, I was like, this team's going 9-3. And that ain't me doing the bit. Like, I was like, ain't no way this team's beating Texas. Ain't no way this team's beating Tennessee.
Yeah.
And when we saw what happened to Ole Miss losing to Kentucky early today, I ain't worried about Ole Miss no more. They're fake.
Yeah, I tend to agree.
They're fake. But just the fight the team had, we saw Georgia's defense in the second half look like Georgia's defense again after just getting torched in the first half. This team's got a lot of fight. And that is the tale of two halves.
That has a lot to do with coaching too.
Yeah, I mean,
because I'm very curious as to what was said, what came out of Kirby Smart's mouth at halftime in that locker room.
From what I've heard, it apparently wasn't a rah-rah speech.
Really? Because he might be the king of those.
Yes. I mean, we've all heard we're going to kick their ass on special teams and punish them on defense speech. But, apparently it wasn't rah-rah. It was just, hey, I believe in you guys. I don't know if we're going to win this game, but we're going to go out and we're going to fight. And that's what they did in the second half.
They put themselves in a position to win the game. They came all the way back
down.
Took the lead. Game.
And then went right back down the field and had a shot to win it with with a minute 24 left or something like that. I know a lot of Georgia fans are probably begging for pass interference on that. I don't know if it was 50-50 ball in the end zone, underthrown by Carson Beck.
That's going to be one of those calls where the ref lets them play.
Yeah.
Unless it's egregious.
Yeah. I don't hate the no call at all.
Exactly.
And not to mention, if you're going to turn over the ball the way they did, you don't deserve to win the game.
Yeah.
But
3 picks from Beck. Georgia dug themselves too big of a hole and did enough to come back and take the lead and just couldn't hold it. It felt like it felt like Alabama's kind of resurgence back into that game late was almost inevitable. Just now, kind of the vibe around that stadium a little bit, and just watching the game. That's just kind of how it felt. Is that when Georgia took the lead, it was massive, but that game was not over.
No,
and obviously that was.
That was 30-3 at the half.
No, touchdown
30. Yeah, that's right.
Because that safety.
Yes, Jesus. Alabama, I think, has maybe one more tough game on their schedule. I think Tennessee's really the only big game they got left. To me, it really looks like Alabama's going to be playing Texas and Atlanta. And if you're Georgia, you just got to – you can afford to drop one more game. But you can't really do much more outside of that.
The game in Austin is going to be
pivotal.
Yeah,
the game at home, November 19th is going to be pivotal against Tennessee. Which huge. Your boy will be in attendance and will be crapping bricks before that game.
But I want to, before we get off of this game, we knew Jalen Milroe is one of the premier rushing quarterbacks in the country.
He has one interception.
Oh, my God.
One interception all season
I know. And it was in this game.
Yeah.
In the second half of that game. But his running – you watched him run in the first half.
You don't see guys move sideways in the SEC the way he did.
He was able to just whenever – just at will get outside, whether it was a designed run or just a scramble out of the pocket. He got to the edge and he put it in like 3 different gears going down the sideline. That one run,
that man's got 4.3 speed
in the first quarter. He had a couple big runs in the first quarter, but there was one huge down the right hand sideline that, oh my god,
and he made Malachi Starks look stupid once or twice, and we're talking about a first round prospect.
He genuinely clutch in, foot off the gas, changed gears, and was gone. It was unreal. It was like the Cam Newton Heisman run almost. What was that against LSU?
Mm-hmm.
Where he just like
just turned it on.
There was another dimension to his speed. And that's what Jalen Milroe felt like in the first half. It was unbelievable to watch.
And then that's my takeaways for Alabama in this game is that offense is, when it's clicking, is scary.
Oh my god!
This team can score points on anybody.
There were a couple moments in that game just throughout, especially the first quarter, but that and the touchdown to end it, where I was sitting in the living room watching it with my dad, and audible just whoa, that came out of my mouth multiple times that game. It was fascinating to watch the Alabama team, especially in the first quarter. But then even after Georgia comes all the way back to take the lead, how Georgia never quit, but Alabama didn't quit either.
No,
because
that very much could have been a shock to this Alabama team. Like, holy crap, we just gave up a huge lead, and they could have
ran away tail between their legs and just called it quits. But they stayed in it.
I mean, I think we're
a hell of a game.
I think we're looking at hopefully 2 for sure playoff teams. I'm saying that selfishly as a Georgia fan, but I think you're looking at 2 of the better teams in the country.
Georgia could go 9-3 and make the playoff.
I hope so, but I don't think of it.
But then again, I also think that there's definitely potential for 2 group of 5 teams to make it. So I don't know.
The way the SEC is looking, I don't know if Georgia can get in with 3 losses because I don't know, because Missouri's going to be a problem.
Well, record-wise,
yes. Oh no, not as a team.
The committee understands that Mizzou's schedule is not Georgia's schedule or anything like that. I mean,
nobody's schedules Georgia's schedule.
You want Mississippi State.
Mississippi
State. Yeah. They're already bad enough, and they got to deal with this.
They got us next
gauntlet.
week. They got us next week.
Their 4 road games are what? Georgia, Tennessee, Texas, and Alabama.
Alabama, I believe.
No, Ole Miss.
Ole Miss. Yeah. Have fun with that, Bucko.
Good.
Well, I'll lead this right into, which I think we're going to be on the same side here. We'll do real or fake. My first one's Georgia.
Georgia's real.
I think Georgia's real. If that team in the second half plays against anybody, they can beat anybody in this country.
Yeah.
I think, and I'm saying, I know I'm spouting an awful lot of Georgia crap right now, but we saw a leader step up for Georgia that I think was something this team has been lacking last year and so far through the season. Jalen Walker stepped up, was in the face of the offense, in the face of his defense. And I said this preseason to a couple people, Dylan Bell's involvement in the second half. I think Dylan Bell can be not Brock Bowers. No one can be Brock Bowers, but can be the Brock Bowers kind of guy where you can move him all over the field, put him in different looks. He's a very versatile player, and they started to utilize him in the second half. Took the lead. Great pass by Beck, but I mean, the guy made moves down the field to take the lead for them.
He's kind of the Swiss Army knife.
Yes.
Kind of just plug in kind of wherever, sure-handed, just kind of all around.
Which, I mean,
solid guy.
Georgia wasn't sure if they were going to keep him.
Oh, no.
He was in talks to transfer to Syracuse.
Imagine him with comical.
Yeah.
Syracuse would genuinely be an ACC contender.
Number 2, is Drew Aller an above-average quarterback?
Hell yeah. I think so, dude.
I'm going to lean fake. See, I was high on Drew at the beginning of the season. I think we're going to end up seeing the same things, and maybe this does make him real. But I think when he's got to play big games, he just ain't the guy.
Maybe so, but I don't know. I mean,
and I think that's what makes you an above-average quarterback.
Exactly.
Can you be the guy in big games? And here was a big game. He was not the story for Penn State against Illinois. He was not the guy that took control of that game.
But he's been fantastic every game up until now, though. And one off game, whatever, that's fine. I don't hold that against him at all. He was a lot better than people gave him credit for last year. He just couldn't beat Michigan, couldn't beat Ohio State. Fine, whatever. That was not Will Howard. That was Kyle McCord's problem at Ohio State last year is that, okay, yeah, he couldn't beat Michigan.
Yeah.
Now he's at Syracuse.
Yeah.
But if all you can do is not beat the teams that are better than you, maybe that makes you average. But I think just given the situation with him being the quarterback at Penn State, I think that's above average. It all depends on what your expectations are for Penn State as a whole in that offense. But I think I'm not selling my Drew Aller stock yet. I'm holding on to it.
Leaving Missouri on here until they kind of do something. I still think they're the fakest team in the country.
They're fake. They're gonna be in contention for the playoff, but they're not at all a bad football team whatsoever.
No, they're not a top 12 team in the country.
No, they've had some definitely iffy performances.
You guys are making a little late run here. Talking a little Bravos.
Yeah. I've looked at it here and there. I'm trying not to pay too much attention to it. The less attention I pay, the better.
The better they're doing.
But yeah, no, Mizzou at this point, I mean, nothing is swaying me away from saying they're fake. If I see them go out, I mean, I was about to say, if I see them go out there and really put a good performance together against a good team, then that could change my opinion. But there's not really a whole lot of opportunities for that. So they're going to have to make the most of their opportunities with that schedule that they have. But I'd say they're fake for now, but I'm not at all like
writing them off quite yet.
Exactly. That's not a permanent opinion at
all. Next on here, I got Travis Hunter winning the Heisman. Right now, it looks real damn real. I think he's the favorite right now.
If he plays at least the majority, like most of this season, the way he has been so far, where he's playing both sides of the ball and being a top 5 player at both positions, at corner and receiver, he's at the very least in New York.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, he's
him and Ashton Jeanty, because Ashton Jeanty is just a video game on like with arms and legs. It's crazy. But Travis Hunter, the thing with him is, it all depends on if it's evident that he's making their offense go, or if Shedeur is spreading it out to everybody and that offense is just humming. Because if Colorado kind of progresses in the way that they might be looking like they're capable of,
like they could be bowl eligible, right?
Travis Hunter, while he's obviously, at least in our opinions, the best player in the country,
might be the number 1 overall pick.
He might be. The problem is, can you use him on both sides of the ball in the NFL? Then
probably not, and I think the Panthers go quarterback.
Probably
because Bryce Young ain't it.
Unless they can scrounge together some change to get somebody,
which this isn't an NFL show, but
no. But Travis Hunter, I'm winning the Heisman. It's tough to say; it's too close to call. Being a finalist, 100%.
Yeah,
I think he's well on his way.
So you'll lean fake for now, but I'm sure
I'll honestly lean real. I don't lean necessarily either way, just because of the way that the Heisman is typically and how it's so much more difficult when you're not a quarterback. That I just don't know what voters are going to do.
Because it very much has been the best quarterback on the best team is what the Heisman's been lately.
Exactly. Aside from Devontae Smith.
Yeah.
Which that was just going to be whoever if Jalen Waddle doesn't get hurt, he's probably the Heisman winner.
Oh, yeah.
Because Devontae Smith wasn't even the best receiver on that team.
He just took over once Waddle got
hurt on that return against Tennessee. So that was a special scenario. I'm not convinced it's not going to be the quarterback of whatever team is ranked number 1. My inclination is to say Quinn Ewers.
Yeah.
But I'd say Travis Hunter is 100% at the very least in the mix. One of a favorite, if not the leading favorite to be a finalist. I'm definitely not out on him winning the Heisman.
Last, and I was kind of having this thought while you were talking there. This should just be the recency bias segment instead of real or fake. But real or fake has a nice jingle to it. Ole Miss.
Fake, but in the same vein as Mizzou, because I think they're overall a more talented team. I think Mizzou has, if you compare Mizzou and Ole Miss, Mizzou has the best player. Ole Miss, I feel like just overall is a slightly more talented roster. Obviously, their O-line couldn't do hardly anything this weekend, but I think.
I mean, looking at their schedule, they're
that
still going to be right in it. They got they got a match in November with Georgia. They get Oklahoma at home at LSU. I know LSU isn't that good, but LSU can score.
At LSU, with this
and
team,
it's at night.
I was going to say, you're playing the environment probably more so than the actual team itself.
And South Carolina this weekend, no slouch. We'll get to that game in a second, but South Carolina ain't no slouch.
They are certainly not. And they're coming off a bye, too. Come on. Extra week of rest for the Cox.
Well, we'll jump in, like we said, little lackluster week 6. A lot of big names, but just matchups that have kind of lost their luster, so to speak.
Yeah.
We'll start off. Got 2 ACC, 2 SEC. Got them split up here a little bit, but we'll go SMU at Louisville. Louisville's 7-point favorite, 56.5 is the total. SMU's only got 1 loss to BYU, which is looking like a better loss. More and more.
Certainly is.
Louisville trying to get off the snide after losing to Notre Dame, but they get it at home. I know I was high on the Ponies at the beginning of the year. Let's see if the Pony Express can get rolling. I don't love Louisville in the spot.
See, I don't either, but I don't necessarily love SMU. This is a game I'm staying so far.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm not touching this at all.
Yeah, but just I genuinely don't know what to expect in this game.
I don't either, and I think
both teams are favorites to make the ACC title game. But I don't think for either of them that's necessarily because they're some world beater football team.
Well,
like SMU after week 1, who was it against? Nevada?
Yeah, they struggled.
They looked horrible.
They struggled.
They looked so bad. And I had that image of that game hasn't left my brain.
Yeah, they won by 5 points against Nevada,
who's just god awful.
They played a game with TCU, ended up beating the brakes off of Florida State, but who cares?
Yeah, which I mean, that TCU team's not great either.
I will say, if
they did hang 66 on them.
If you're SMU and you win this game, the rest of your schedule is quite favorable. You got at Duke, at Stanford, Pittsburgh, who's undefeated at the moment.
That could be a real or fake for me.
Yeah. Boston College, who just lives and dies with Thomas Castellanos. Virginia, who stinks, and then Cal to end the season, and Cal's been a problem for teams so far.
They have been kind of a thorn in some people's side. Somehow ended up losing to Florida State.
Yeah, but
that's still a solid football team.
I think I lean SMU, and this is a little bit of me picking them to be in the title game bias. I think this is an elimination game for ACC championship hopes.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Because the way it looks, it doesn't look like Clemson's going to drop a game in conference, and it don't look like Miami's going to drop a game in conference.
Miami was close, though.
And might have
we want to mention that game.
Yeah, probably should have talked about that in the recap. But
that was crazy.
What do you think? I posted that on our Twitter.
It wasn't a catch.
I was just curious.
I heard on multiple different shows Brandon Walker talk about this. I completely agree. That's that Hail Mary at the end of that game is one of those plays where they were so just reliant and dependent on the call on the field.
Yeah.
Why even have a call on the field in a scenario like that when no one really could get a great look at it? No one really saw it.
Just go look and make a decision.
Exactly. Let the screen make the decision for you. Slow it down. You can see it with your own eyes instead of trying to just make up some whatever call and then try to find whatever evidence to overturn it. It was just an officiating mess at the end of the game. But also, Miami looked vulnerable in that game.
Very, very vulnerable.
Cam Ward did not look vulnerable.
He did not.
Cam
Ward still looks like Cam Ward.
He's probably the Heisman favorite.
I
don't know if he's the betting favorite. Yeah. I just think if I were to
look at
project who I would think would win the Heisman at this point, so far through the season, from what I've seen, I'd say Cam Ward, which is hard for me to go against a guy with a name like that.
Yeah,
but
let's see if I can get that pulled up. Awards. Right now, Milroe is your favorite at plus 250.
That doesn't surprise me.
Cam Ward plus 500 with Travis Hunter also plus 500.
There you go.
And then Ashton Jenney, whose name I can just never say right.
Ashton Jeanty. It does not roll off the tongue
very well at plus 1,000.
He doesn't have a Heisman name.
No. Honestly, sounds like he should be playing like goalie in the WHL.
Yeah.
He's the Tri-State American starting goalie.
He's a major junior pro hockey goalie. He's playing in the queue.
Yeah, we'll jump to SEC game here. I'm going to go ahead and title this my real or fake game of the week.
I think it's got to be
Missouri at Texas A&M. I think strange line.
I think both of these teams kind of stink.
Yeah.
Mizzou doesn't stink. A&M kind of stinks.
A&M seemed to got better since they made the QB change.
Yeah, I was about to say since that sorry-ass Connor Wegman's not starting quarterback for them.
Which, if you're named after a supermarket, I don't think you should be starting quarterback.
To be fair, an all-time supermarket. Wegmans.
Never been to a Wegmans.
Wegmans is elite.
I've heard great things. A&M 2.5-point favorite. You and I were talking at trivia pre-show. Strange line. Just
it's goofy.
Doesn't make sense. I don't know if this is a Kyle Field effect. Total at 58.5. That tells you how bad these offenses are.
Yeah.
Good defense by Texas A&M. Missouri's defense. Maybe this total is just on name brand, right? Or name value, because Missouri's defense last year, very, very good. This year ain't the case.
No.
I'm guessing here, I think you lean more Missouri.
I do.
I lean A&M here.
Yeah.
A&M at home. I didn't see the start of this game. I think it's a 3:30 game.
Well, I'll also get to leaning more Mizzou in a little bit, but I just feel like they have the game breaker in this game in Luther Burden. He's the best receiver in the country. And as long as they can figure out a way to every so often get Luther Burden the ball. Yeah, it's the ABC game. I don't know if A&M can hang with what firepower I think Mizzou's offense is at least capable of.
Yeah.
Whether it shows up or not remains to be seen. But I can't really believe
this is another. Yeah,
I can't really believe Mizzou's the dog in this game. Like it just doesn't.
And we could end up looking at this game and Mizzou just cakewalks this game. We're like, yep, it should have known it.
Yeah,
it's same belief I had about even though BYU ended up trying to make that a game and let Baylor all the way back in. But
then again, A&M could go in and just shut us up.
Yeah. I'm going to flip the order. We have these just to go ACC, SEC, ACC, SEC.
There you go.
We'll go Clemson at Florida State. Clemson 14.5-point favorites. I think that number's a wee bit low. 47.5 is the total. And I think you're going to get close to this with just Clemson. I could see Clemson scoring about 30 points here.
I'm 0-2 saying that so far this season. So I'll let you be the one that says it. But I kind of feel
I'm not touching any of these games gambling wise.
I'm touching one of them, but
Florida State just looks so bad. And they're going dual quarterback this week.
Yeah.
Because I think DJ's got a thumb issue, I believe.
It's Brock Lane.
Yeah.
Which we saw him in the ACC championship game last year.
And looked good.
No, not really.
Was it?
He was very all right.
Who am I thinking of? I don't know who I'm thinking of.
Are you thinking of Jack Plummer, Louisville's quarterback from that game? Because he didn't look great either, but he was just the better quarterback in that game. Brock Glenn just can't really throw the ball. And when you're the quarterback of a football team, kind of something you need to do.
Yeah.
So I don't.
Clemson since that matchup with Georgia and Atlanta has been rolling.
Yeah, they've been red hot. They look untouchable, and obviously I got a firsthand look at that.
Yeah,
but
they look to really have it going. I think Clemson covers the spread here. I'm not touching it gambling wise. Not one of my pick six picks, but I like Clemson in this game.
Yeah.
Do you have this a little later?
What, the Clemson?
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Okay.
The only game I got is the one we just mentioned.
All right. Well, I'll jump to our last game that we'll talk about of the Week 6 slate here. Ole Miss 9-point favorite heading into Columbia, South Carolina. Old Willie Bryce.
Yeah, Willie B, baby.
Tough place to play, man.
Extremely.
South Carolina looks feisty. Can Ole Miss get off the mat after a really atrocious game against Kentucky?
I think this game goes one of two ways. Either Ole Miss rolls, or this is one of the best games of the season so far. I think this could be
a shootout.
This could be
53.5 to total.
That feels low.
Yeah, I think this could be very easily a 42-38 game, a 45-42 game, something, high scoring, last team with the ball wins.
I think it's a bad matchup for Ole Miss, especially just being at South Carolina.
Yeah.
But with the way Ole Miss's offense, like their offensive line looked against
Kentucky, who's got a good front.
South Carolina's
front is also good.
Much better than Kentucky's, I'd say. Yeah, I mean, we already watched them play together or play against each other, and South Carolina's had their way. Jackson Dart's going to have to be a little mobile in this game, I think.
Not to bring up another game from last, but when we were talking about Kentucky and Ole Miss last week, or when you had you had Ole Miss as your pick, I mentioned how Kentucky had a great game plan against Georgia.
They did.
They did the same thing against Ole Miss.
100%.
They ran it back. And I think you've seen how to beat them.
Yeah.
And if you're South Carolina,
there's a blueprint.
You've got a good D line.
Oh,
if you can limit Jackson Dart the way Kentucky did, which I think they're more than capable of doing, maybe we are dead wrong about the total, because South Carolina can just limit that offense.
Ole Miss's passing attack, the potential demise of it is going to be less so on South Carolina's DBs going out there and making plays, and more so just on whether or not Jackson Dart has time to throw a ball, and if South Carolina's edge rushers can kind of just force him into some throws that he doesn't want to make.
Bad decisions, yeah.
So I think that's the story of this game is South Carolina's D-line against Ole Miss's not great O-line, and it pains me to say when there's a Millbrook Wildcat on their O-line, but
yeah, it definitely hasn't looked great. Well, that's kind of it for our Week 6 slate. There's some other decent matchups out there.
UNLV Syracuse is a very interesting game, I think.
Yeah, that's
if we want to dive into just a hint of the G5. UNLV lost Matthew Sluka and got better.
Yeah, just funny. That's what Blutman was kind of referencing a couple weeks ago.
No, he was 100% right. It's not even that they just didn't skip a beat when Haj Malik Williams came in. They started beating faster.
Yeah, I mean, they look like they can actually throw the ball now.
Yeah,
and because that should be a good.
Sluka was he was 46% passing, I think. Obviously, he was a great runner, but so was Haj Malik, and he can also throw the ball.
Yeah,
I don't really know why Sluka was ever starting.
He won the battle, but
aside from the fact that they didn't want to have the dude who was supposed to be paid a lot of money.
Yeah,
sitting there rotting on the bench. But yeah, that felt honestly like a turning point for the better for this UNLV team against a talented Syracuse team that I think both teams could cause the other quite a few issues.
Yeah.
So it'll be very interesting to watch that game, I think.
It should be a pretty good matchup.
That's a great G5 P4 matchup, I think.
Well, we'll hop right into pick 6.
Let's do it.
I went 4-2 last week. Did you reverse me?
Yeah,
2-4. I am sitting
yet another 2-4 week for you.
Sitting right under 500 right now. I'm trying to claw my way over 50%.
I'm hoping for a big week this week to get myself back on track. But
I hate saying this because every time I've said I've liked my board, it's gone poorly for me.
See, I don't necessarily. I like mine. There's a couple of them that I don't necessarily love, but I feel confident enough in them. So maybe that'll work well for me. But.
I'll go right. I'll just roll through my 6 real quick. Team we were talking about a little earlier. I'm taking Boston College plus the 1.5 against UVA.
Yep.
Virginia sucks.
Yeah.
Not that Boston College is anything special. I just think they have more offensive firepower and then just are a more complete team than Virginia, who might be one of the worst teams in the ACC.
Oh, yeah, I'd say so. Which they feel like an improved squad from last year, but last year they were just terrible.
Yeah.
And it took just an absolute miracle for NC State to beat them last year. But yeah, no, this Virginia team feels improved. They're just still not a good team.
Yeah. Next, I got Tulane -15 at UAB.
Yep.
I don't really know a ton about UAB, but we saw how Tulane handled USF.
Yeah.
I think they can handle UAB.
I'd say so. I think they can handle a Trent Dilfer coach football team because he might be the worst coach in the country.
I just thought that number was way too low.
Yeah.
And that's honestly kind of a theme with some of my picks is like, these numbers are low.
Yeah.
UAB
is just not a good football team. I think coaching kind of brings them down a little bit, but there's not if you look at that roster, at least from what I can think of off the top of my head, there's not anything crazy special talent-wise across the board. So
yeah. Next, I got Ohio State at home against Iowa. I'm taking Ohio State -20 points here.
I thought about this game.
I just Iowa's stingy, but Ohio State's good. I just think this gets out of hand at some point in the second half.
Yeah, I think so too. It feels kind of like one of those games where it's either like 24-10 or it's 59-6.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling it's gonna be more so. I have a feeling it's gonna be more so the latter.
Yeah.
This is kind of this Ohio State, Iowa, especially with the way these teams look right now, that feels like the only two options, really.
I'm following up my strange why is BYU an underdog pick with why is Michigan an underdog at Washington. I'll take Michigan getting the 2.5 points here. I know Michigan ain't anything to write home about. Washington's bad. And when you got a ball control team like Michigan, I think this just plays into their favor. I think they win this game outright. Another line that I thought was way too low. Alabama's only a 22.5 point favorite at Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
We saw how they looked last week. I think they're going to be fine to win by at least 4 scores here. So we'll do that and close out my pick 6 with a rebound spot. Last time Georgia lost a heartbreaker to Alabama, they dismantled the program known as Florida State. Auburn, you're next, bucko. At home, between the hedges, Auburn stinks. Hugh Freeze can't coach. If you got a quarterback that's turning the ball over and Carson Beck plays an average game, I think they easily win by 24 points. I know this game's typically close. That's the one thing that scares me about Auburn. This is the Deep South's oldest rivalry, if I can get that out of my mouth.
It sure is. Also, there goes the Braves season.
Yep.
It's Jover.
It's Jover.
Sorry,
be a Tigers fan with me.
Yeah, I probably will be.
But yeah, I just think this is a big bounce back spot for Georgia. I think they're going to be playing pissed off. Yeah. And
Carson Beck's going to be out for some vengeance.
I think that whole team's going to be out for some vengeance. They're going to make some heads roll. Give me the Dogs laying the 24.
Yeah. I can go ahead and jump into mine if you'd
like.
Another one that you touched on in yours, Boston College, with the spread being 1.5.
You just took a money line.
Money line is just better value, I'd say. But the same vein, basically everything that you said, I completely agree with, and that's why I'm taking BC. It's just I don't know if Virginia has the tools to kind of take Boston College out of their system. Where I think Boston College is going to be able to rely on Castellanos this game. Next game, I mentioned how I'd get back to the Mizzou A&M game. Mizzou, another pick where it's just money line. I don't know how they're a 2.5 point dog in this game.
I honestly think it's just the Kyle Field effect.
Probably so, but I got Mizzou outright in this game. I think that they're just going to find a way to win. I don't think that this is going to be a blowout by any means. I just think that Mizzou is simply the better team. That's basically all I got for that. Next, I got Rutgers at Nebraska. I got Rutgers plus 6.5. I don't think this team is losing quite yet.
It's a stingy team.
It's very stingy, very gritty team. Albeit so is Nebraska, and it's obviously an incredibly tough environment going to Nebraska. I just think that this Rutgers rushing attack is going to be kind of the difference for in this game. Kyle Monangai has been as people who know about Rutgers expected, they know he's one of the best running backs in the Big Ten. He's proved that so far. He's had a couple fantastic performances so far this season. They might not win the game, but I feel like 6.5. I think they could stay within a touchdown to a field goal in this game, if not win it outright. But 6.5 felt like the safe pick there. Let's see. Moving on, UCF at Florida. Sorry, the University of Central Florida Golden Knights at Florida. UCF minus 2.5. I think you were talking about a rebound. I think
this bounce
is
back spot for him.
Huge bounce back spot against an in-state rival who UCF is going to be all the way turned up for this game. Florida doesn't care about UCF.
Yeah.
This is the game where all the
Florida's thinking about how to get Lane Kiffin as their head coach.
Exactly. This is the game where all the UCF grads that are Florida fans show up and actually wear black and gold to this game, using their Florida season tickets that they had, and kind of make it an issue for Florida. I think UCF covers a field goal. I think that's fairly safe. Moving on to a sneaky one. West Virginia at Oklahoma State. I'm about sick and tired of watching this Oklahoma State team. So, I probably won't be watching this game, but I'll tell you what, I think West Virginia's going to win this game outright. Because yet again, I don't think Oklahoma State can pass the ball worth a damn.
No. And the rushing attack has not been there.
I think Garrett Green is just simply the better quarterback in this game. And I haven't seen anything from Oklahoma State defensively to make me think that they're just going to shut him down. West Virginia, I feel like, goes into Boone Pickens Stadium and walks out with a W. And then finally, Sunbelt action. App at Marshall. App State visiting the Thundering Herd. I like App in this game. This was a picking with my heart, not my brain.
Yeah.
All of that Western North Carolina's been going through lately. All the App students have been going through lately. I saw pictures from my cousin's apartment building, how it was just shredded. App is going to be up for this game. They need, especially after the game got canceled this past weekend against Liberty. All they want is for some football at the moment. It's something to make them feel good. Exactly. And I just think those players and this fan base, they're going to travel well if they can.
Yeah.
The ones that they're gonna want to. I'll tell you that.
Ain't stuck there. Yeah.
Exactly. So those that can are going to travel to this game. I think it's going to be a great environment because Marshall's always got a good home environment. I just think App goes in there. It's one of those emotion picks, but I think App goes in there and handles this game.
And it could be an emotional game for them. I kind of like the pick there, just based off what you said, and not that
they've looked like anything special, but Marshall hasn't either. So
not to bring up more bad news, but did you see the pictures of the entrance of the Biltmore?
Oh yeah. Oh,
like it's bad. For anyone, I know this is very much a local North Carolina listened show, but if you got anything to give to Western North Carolina, I would very much advocate for that because they got hit in ways that I can't really even put into words. And as someone that's got a really close friend that lives in the mountains and couldn't get to his house for a couple days, just think about Western North Carolina.
Somewhere my favorite place in the entire world, Montreat, North Carolina. I worked there for a summer. I've been going there a lot of my life, whether it be camps, conferences, whatever. Got all but about washed away.
Yeah.
So that was just hard to watch. So I'm praying for everybody up there.
Which shout out to like guys like Billy Strings and Tyler Childers that have already. Billy Strings put a lot of his money towards the festival he ran the other week towards it. Tyler's doing a live show.
Yep.
And this week, so
there's been a bunch of as much as ECU and UNC Charlotte fans like to kind of jaw at each other. There's been a lot of good kind of back and forth banter, like just jawing at each other, but also a lot of good camaraderie and joining forces for a greater cause than our silly little rivalry football game we got going on this weekend.
Which I'll double the free ads this week. Caleb Presley's shirt on Barstool Sports. I think all the proceeds are going to Western Carolina, and they're good looking shirts. we don't work for them or anything.
Not even a little bit.
Not even close.
We like
Portnoy, if you want to hire us.
We like cool stuff. Yeah, what he said.
But yeah, just just keep Western North Carolina in your thoughts and prayers. But that'll get us right into our.
I'm pulling for the New Year's this weekend.
Yeah, come on, New Year's. That'll get us right into probably what is one of the easiest previews we'll do all year for East Carolina,
or one of the hardest.
Yeah. ECU 8.5-point favorite on the road in that high school stadium that UNC Charlotte plays in. 47.5 is the total. UNC Charlotte's abysmal. They are not good.
Poorly coached football
team.
I kind of like
their defensive coordinator got into it with people on Twitter.
Crazy. I like Biff Poggi. I assume that's every time I hear his name, it's pronounced differently. But I like him just as a guy, and I like the fact that he's a head coach in college football. He's just not a very good one.
No.
And so I don't necessarily think we're coached by some god, but I feel like we have simply just a better football team.
Yeah.
And I think a better football team, better coaching staff. We know how to scheme at least a first quarter together. Defensively, even losing our team's best player, who happens to be on the defensive side of the ball, Blake Harrell is just proving why he's been here for the last 5 years. Just continues to churn out results defensively. I just think we're just going to be too much for the Niners.
Which the Niners have made a quarterback change, made it about halfway through the game last week. They have dropped Max Brown, and they're going with the freshman Deshaun Purdy.
So they got three dudes that have almost identical stats.
Yeah, I was going to bring. They've had three quarterbacks play this year, and the attempts are 57, 57, and 56.
And completions are 35, 33, and 30.
Not a lot to write home.
In total, between three
quarterbacks, in between the three quarterbacks, they have 8 touchdowns. Like that's just not what you love to see.
Surely one of them's got to have some sort of wheels.
They are more of a pass-heavy team, averaging about 240 through the air on 80 yards on the ground, which just doesn't really play into our favor too much.
Yeah,
but I think I'm just not worried about this game. And honestly, if we lose to Charlotte for a second year in a row, we got problems.
Yeah, we got problems way bigger than this game alone.
Yeah,
if that happens.
And we kind of brought it up last week about Mike Houston. You lose another game to Charlotte, bro. It's time to go. Meant to bring this up in the recap. You damn near got the total right of our prediction because you said 27-21.
Yeah.
You weren't far off, buddy. My score was close. I just picked the wrong team. I'm going out on a limb. I'm saying 31-10 Pirates here. I think we roll.
Yeah, I could see that. I'm going to be in attendance for this game, so hopefully we roll, and I can point and laugh at people wearing green. I don't know. I'm going to say – see, I wanted to do my bit where I throw a missed field goal or an extra point there. Noah Perez comes in. He's conference special teams player of the week. He's lights out. So I'm going to say give me 38-13. 38-13. I think it's – honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if this is another game where we start kind of slow. We're going to try to start hot, and I feel like something might just backfire. That crowd is, while it's going to be tiny, they're going to be loud, but then again, a lot of it's going to be purple. So
I think it's going to be an ECU heavy crowd.
Oh, I think so too. I don't think it's necessarily going to be like Tennessee fans checkerboard and Vanderbilt, but it's going to be very purple heavy. All 5 Charlotte fans are going to be out there and just being rowdy as all get out. But I think that fairly early on in this game, we're going to kind of set the tone both on the field and in the stands.
Yeah.
So, 38-13 is kind of where I'm at.
Yeah. Let you hit your uni matchup, and then we'll wrap this thing up. Sorry for not being live. We'll be live next week. And we'll, just
again, tweet us whatever
questions, comments.
Yeah. We'll get to them as best we can, as quick as possible.
We got some more content ideas coming out soon, so look out for those. If you're on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. Twitter, give us a follow, tell a friend, all that good jazz. Who you got for your uni matchups?
It's hard to not say Air Force Navy, with Air Force rocking those Air Force Special Operations Command uniforms. They look stunning. I don't know. I assume Navy's just wearing their typical gold, white, blue set. But that's gonna be a great game, uniform wise. Probably not football wise. I think Navy. I think Navy's gonna have their way with Air Force. But that's, if you're looking for a specific uniform to look at, it's that Air Force one for sure. There were other ones that I was trying to find that I just didn't love. I mean, Michigan, Washington. If Washington had different uniforms, their uniforms they have right now are trash. That could be a decent matchup. I don't love it. Rutgers, Nebraska. That's just two teams wearing the same color, so that'll be fun. Honestly, not even uniform related. Well, Auburn, Georgia. Auburn, Georgia's
two classic uniforms.
Classic uniform
matchup. My dad had an Auburn jersey when he was in high school.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
him being from Michigan, but Auburn. As much as I hate him, it is a classic.
Uniform. I got Oregon jerseys.
Yeah. You won't catch me dead in an Auburn jersey.
I'd
rather.
Honestly, not even involving uniforms. If you want me to tell you a game to avoid watching this week, look no further than the Temple Owls going on the road to East Hartford, Connecticut to go play UConn. Oh. It's just foul.
Blindfold game.
I have nothing more on that game aside from don't watch.
Don't turn it on. Might be live on the CW.
Iowa, Ohio State, classic Big Ten uniform matchup.
Good. Yeah.
That's really it. It's a pretty light week uniform wise. Purdue, Wisconsin's all right. But I haven't seen anything crazy from any certain team aside from Air Force. So I'd say that's a game to watch, just to see those uniforms in action, just because every time a service academy brings out an alternate uniform, it always just rocks. And I will be tuning into at least a little bit of that game, just to see that. But I think that's all I got for uniforms matchups and just the worst game you'll ever watch.
I think that closes it out for week 6. Looking forward to week 7. You got Ohio State at Oregon, Penn State at USC, Red River rivalry. Red River shootout.
Come on.
Yeah.
South Carolina's at Alabama.
Yeah, South Carolina at Alabama. There's some good games next week.
Mississippi State's
at Georgia. That will do it for week 6 of the Down East Sports College Football Show. A little shorter of a show, being pre-recorded and not having questions. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us. Go through our spiel again, but give us a follow on Twitter. Check us out on YouTube.
Like, comment, subscribe.
All that good stuff. That is it for week 6 of the Down East Sports College Football Show. We'll see you in week 7. I'm Jacob Miller. He's Paul Phillips. We'll see y'all boys next week. And girls. We ain't Texas here. Have a good night, guys.